regular watchers of rail sounds will be thinking, not that gear wheel again. I'm very reliant on my US or American pinball buddies that, like me, really love pre-war pinballs. I'm very reliant on them because, well, I live in the UK and these pinballs were made in the US, and unfortunately one of the wheels was missing completely. I do not know this machine's history, but what I can deduce is they clearly had problems with this wheel. Started to strip it down, maybe the contacts fell apart, I don't know, but they never put it back together. Even the bolt that went through the middle's missing. So I've got a lot to contend with, not helped by the fact, now I thought this was made of copper, and you would come to that conclusion, wouldn't you, looking at it? No, it's not. Look, it's steel and it's copper plated. I can copper plate, I can do that at home. If anybody wants to know how to do that, just look up on YouTube. It's very straightforward, copper plating. But one of the things that's come to mind is, well, I don't know what the life expectancy of these things are, but there are some inherent weaknesses in it, in my view. It's about 1.2 millimeter thick, right? And it's 50 mil across from the highest point of that tooth to the opposite side, 50 mil. So in theory, I could get a 50 mil steel blank. They're available. Find the dead center, then assuming that the point of these teeth is the 50 mil, I would then need to scribe a line. You know, I'm not a tool fitter, I'm not a lathe guy, but I'm just imagining this how you would have to do it. Then you have to scribe a circle inside, so that you know how far to cut in for that tooth. Then you'd have to divide it into 24 sections. I'm guessing this is how they do it. This is how I do it anyway. And then you know exactly how to cut each tooth, but they're going to have to be cut by hand. The contacts themselves, they are basically copper nails with a blob of solder on the back that should be joined together, linked together across like that. So you've got a continuity of contact. They've got to be sprung because there's variations. You know, they run along contacts underneath. That's why they're sprung. So yeah, I'm not the only guy having this problem. I've been talking to Jasper, who's been very helpful. His machine, which is an absolute beauty, I'll post a link to it underneath. It's worth a look. And he's got the similar spring bumpers that I've got. Genco didn't run with them for long. I think they moved to something else. But I like these spring bumpers. But in fact, on mine, I get bright blue sparks. That's because it's not suppressed. And the capacitors for that arrived today. So that's another job I could be getting on with. Along with a proper bridge rectifier. Because if you looked at the last couple, you can see I did a sort of makeshift Heath Robinson type bridge rectifier. But it worked well enough for me to test the game. That's how I got it up and running. But I've now got a proper bridge rectifier now, so it'll be a little bit tidier on the back of the playfield. Yeah, so these are copper nails, and what Genco, I don't know if I can show you this and get a focus. You see where that moves through? If you look at the bottom of it, it's got, I think, a steel or brass eyelet. And I guess the reason they did that was to avoid too much side movement. Because just over 1 mil thick wouldn't help much. As soon as you get any wear in it, the pins are going to drift about, aren't they? So I'm going to look at that and see. Bear in mind this was made in 1938 up to about 1940, I think they used them. To see if we can improve on this design a bit and at least remove some of its weaknesses. I'm having a problem trying to find copper nails with a sort of domed top. I can find panel pins like that. I can find copper coated nails, but I can't find exactly what I'm looking for. But I will in the fullness of time. Anyway, Jasper has very kindly said because his pinball is in storage at the moment, and he'll actually lift up the playfield and get the information from his, so that I can hopefully create the second wheel, because without a reference point I really don't know what I'm doing. You can reverse engineer things. If you watch Big Clive on YouTube, well worth watching him, big Scotsman, he reverse engineers a lot of electronics. This is engineering, and you're not going to go and buy one of these, you're going to have to make it. So that's the situation I'm at with the pinball. I was quite fortunate last week. The glass is missing from my pinball, and a sheet of glass, I don't know what it is, it's about 8mm thick, something like that, and it would need to be some sort of safety glass. It's going to be expensive, isn't it, you know, for the top of a pinball. It's not going to be cheap. But when I was at work, they were clearing out of a lot of stuff. You know, big companies, they tend to accrue stuff, don't they, after a period of time. Put them in lofts and cupboards, and then just decide enough's enough, and they'll clear it. And one of the things they were clearing were the COVID screens that they used on their reception. And I didn't have a tape measure to hand, but I looked at it and I thought, that looks big enough to cut for the top of my pinball. Yeah, I know it should be glass, but in the meantime, an acrylic one would do quite well. And anyway, when I got it home, oh boy, yeah, it was spot on. There was about 5mm spare each end, so you know that'll be fun to cut, won't it, acrylic? But at least I have got that now. What else has happened? Oh yeah, I had forgotten to hand. I got boxes of 6.3 volt bulbs. They're quite pricey. If you buy them individually, they're about £3 each. But I managed to get a whole box for about £4, so that's all right. So if I'm short of bulbs, I'll have those. As I say, I need to put capacitors on the back of the playfield to reduce that big fat blue spark. Nice as it looks, you know, the contacts aren't going to last very long if they're arcing like that. So that's where we are. I'm waiting on Jasper, and I'll be patient, because it's not an easy thing for him to get at, and if he's like me, his life's busy and finding the time to do it. But fair play to the man. He's going to check for me, because I've got nowhere else to go. And when I looked at the pictures of his machine, and that was luck that he actually took any pictures underneath, the wheels looked identical. I sat there and actually rotated this one so they're in the same position as his, and seeing if the pins are in the same places. The one thing I don't know, I guess, is the pins on the phenolic board. Well, they're slightly different orientation, as I mentioned in my last video. Whether he'll be able to see that, I don't know, but he's going to give it a shot. And if I can come up with a more robust version of this, then I'll help him out as well, because, as he says, with his machine, when it comes to scoring, one of the wheels has a habit of working loose. I think Loctite's probably the answer for that. But they are a little flimsy in a way. It's what they came up with, but I'm sure there's a better way of doing this that would stand the test of time. We'll see, won't we? Anyway, that's the update on that. I won't be doing another Rolls House this week, because I've got quite a lot on at work, actually. And also, I need to have a real good clean up, because while I've been spending every hour that I had on the pinball, my home has gone to rack and ruin, and I can't allow that to continue, so I really do have to take time out to do that. So I will see you in the next one when I have a bit more information. But like I say, these are steel and they are copper plated, and you can't buy them. I'm sure there's a machine shop somewhere that will say, yeah, we'll make you some of those at £20 each. I don't think I'll be going down that route, but I may talk to my engineering friends in terms of what's going to be the quickest, easiest way to cut these teeth and do it accurately. Certainly I'll talk to Graham Wilford, because he's only up the road, and you know, he's got that kind of head. He'll find a solution. He usually does. Bless him. So that's it. See you in the next Rails house. And just before I go, some people seem to like my conversational style videos. Others say, oh, they go on too long. They are what they are. I just try to provide as much information as I can. So for those that are irritated by it, I do apologise. And for those that love it, thank you very much. That's all I can say. Time to put the lights out, I think. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.